So, Wynonna Earp has always been a series that's defied expectations, and the fandom has continued to go above and beyond in their unwavering support of not only the show, but everybody's careers afterwards. Did you really think season 4 was the end of this chapter? What were those early feelings when you conversations with Tubi kicked off?
Oh, great question, Kevin. So listen, it has always been a phenomenon. We've always been kind of this underdog. And like, I'm sorry, but no writer would be arrogant enough to be like, yeah, I saw this coming. Like, it's beyond your wildest dreams to create something that goes from belonging to you to belonging to an entire fandom, right? Who rally for it, who get married to each other, friendships, everything, babies born. They're their own, beast out there, which is incredible. Um, and I had the privilege, to be honest, of writing a real ending to a TV series, which is
Yeah.
really rare. Like, and furthermore, people were satisfied with it, which we all know not everyone always is with the TV finale. So had mixed feelings when Tubi said we would love to do a special. I was both totally exhilarated and delighted to go back and visit these characters who are like my family. I love them. Could write stories for them for the next 50 years. But I would be lying if I said my blood didn't run a little cold. I'd have to pull on a thread, right? I literally left one couple happily married and the other couple
Yeah.
riding off into the sunset, literally. So you've got to shake that up. But once I sort of realized that can be part of the story, that Earp has never done anything traditionally, that we had a pregnant
Mhm.
superhero in season 2, that we went down for financial reasons, that we weathered COVID. I was like, yes, this can be an unusual story you don't always see. What happens after happily ever after? People have to mature. They have to realize they have to ask for different things. They can still love one each other and want new things, new adventures, new experiences. So that kind of fell together and I relished the opportunity. How about that? Fear is your friend. It's good to be a little scared. It means you care.
Yeah, the series has always been ahead of its time. Credit to you and often
Thank
shedding light
you.
on untold stories. How does this special build on the legacy that you all have created? And how did that freedom of being on Tubi allow you to push the boundaries of storytelling even further?
Yeah, Tubi has been incredible. They honestly almost had like no guardrails as far as language or sexuality or expression. So that was really fun, just being able to play in the space and let Wynonna be her sauciest and the sex be its sexiest and all that stuff. Sorry, everybody, to put so many hot people together in romantic situations. You can fast forward. It's like that when the show came on, we were sort of nobody was paying attention to us. So we were able to do a lot of issues, a lot of LGBTQ characters, and put people in sort of positions of heroism in a Western who are usually on the sidelines, right? People of color, indigenous people, people who don't usually get to be the heroes. And I feel like by the time the show kind of became a success and everyone was paying attention, it was too late. We'd kind of done what we wanted, and what a gift that was. So Earp kind of builds on that. Like, everybody is themselves. There's no apology for who they are. I think this is a very unusual group to kind of be portrayed as demon hunters. And that's what I love about it. It just feels like it's unquestionable, but also even the characters have evolved even more insofar as
Yeah.
how they express themselves or how they identify. And you'll see that in the special. But it feels very organic, as well as our cast have. As our cast have kind of like evolved on their own journey of sexuality or gender identity, some of that is reflected, but still true to the characters, I think, of her.
Yeah, it was so important to you that these characters, like you were saying, meet the cast where they were in their lives at the time of filming. How did that influence the development and direction of these storylines and kind of hone in on the theme of change that you wanted to explore with this special? Why was that so important to you?
Well, we've been so lucky with her, but the truth is, like you touched on earlier, everyone's career is thriving, as it should, because they're such talented, incredible individuals. So right away, I kind of had a mental note that I knew we were either all going to do it or none of us were going to do it. That was going
Mm.
to be the deal. It was an incredible opportunity, but it was a big ask. I was sort of saying to everybody, can you find time in your schedule to come to Calgary in the middle of February for a month? But again, just to speak to how much we care about one another and how much we know that this series is so important and kind of unique. Everyone did kind of work their butt off to make sure they could get there. And then when we got there, it felt like summer camp. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's something about the distance and kind of appreciating what you've had and being
Mm.
able to go back to it that I was just more determined to be present. And I think we all felt that. But the other thing I said to the cast, which I felt very strongly about, is like, I'm going to make this easier for you as well, in that I really want you to come as you are. I am not going to ask you to lose a pound. I'm not going to ask you to cut your hair or grow your hair. If you can't fit in your leather pants, I don't give a shit, because the characters have evolved as well. I mean, everyone is the hottest person you've ever seen. Let's not pretend. But I just meant I really didn't want it to be about these characters pretending to be 18 years old. I wanted to meet them as they are, as the cast has
Mhm.
evolved and matured. And so I think that made everybody feel more safe on set and more secure. And then I think the result is magic. I think you see those themes throughout the special. So
Minus Tim, we need Doc's mustache and
I
you.
know he's the one. He's the one, and he needs like 5 months to grow it, Kevin. But I'm always like, we can get a fake mustache, but he looks like he's gonna die if you say that. Like you said, the most offensive thing in the entire world. So I feel like Tim is always ready to grow his mustache just in case we come back. But oh, and that's why we have to tell everyone it's the real deal because he works hard. He's like, I walk around like a porn star for 3 months, and I'm like, you're fine.
We know you can't say too much, but you already teased that vengeance follows life after happily ever after. How does that look different for Wynonna and Doc versus Waverly and Nicole?
Well, I think like Waverly and Nicole are really living their wifey lifey. They're domesticated at home. You know, Nicole is the sheriff of Purgatory, but Purgatory isn't maybe as demony and supernatural as it used to be. Things are kind of calm. But Waverly is still an Earp, right? And I think part of her might be starting to realize that because she's so secure in her relationship and her marriage, she can maybe start to wish and hope for things she hadn't even permitted herself to hope for
Mm,
before. A little adventure or something new without compromising her relationship. So, you know, I think that Way Hot are as solid as they've ever been. But like any couple in the world, they might have communication issues or things might change and they have to be able to talk about that. Doc and Wynonna, well, maybe they might be soulmates. They've also always been dysfunctional as hell, right? They're borderline personalities. They're addicted to chaos. They like fucking and fighting. They do not really like sitting down and making craft dinner with each other. So I think they've kind of been on this wild adventure, but maybe they are also starting to think about what's next. Can they maintain this kind of like chaos and calamity and always being on the run? So the two couples definitely need to discuss what's next. And it does dovetail with one another. And then, of course, there's always a demon who's going to show up in purgatory that they're going to have to deal with. And this one is particularly personal to Wynonna. So I think because she's been out of the game for so long, I think it's a little unsettling for her. And she has to come at this battle with a whole new mindset and with new
mm.
tools she has to figure out. So
That is a great teaser. And the bonds and sense of family that you've built over the 4 seasons of this show is truly one of its kind. How did that
thank you.
trust grown over time? And how did that trust also and that understanding of what your ensemble is capable of allow you to push yourself creatively while also playing to their strengths?
Yeah, there's something that like I think there's something subconscious when you watch a show like Earp that doesn't always happen, which is like we all do love each other and are so
Yeah.
committed to the material that they trust me so I can push them. That's exactly it. And they all have made each other better. Like Melanie Scrofano is probably the most talented performer I've ever had the privilege of working with a cast that is so bloody talented as well, but she elevates them and they elevate one another.
Mm,
And that allows me to almost be a lazy writer. It really does allow me to kind of like push their emotions and push their actions because I know they're so committed. But I also think like they know their characters now after 5 years better than anyone. So the trust is mutual. If they come to me and they're like, I don't feel like this is genuine or bona fide, or maybe my character would react more like this. I also am like, you are kind of the protector of that character, and that is your right. So and you know, you live in the shadow of this fandom that loves the show. And sometimes that can almost be intimidating if you think too hard about it, to be honest. But the trick about writing for an audience that's passionate is you need to give them what they need, what not what they think they want, right? Like, sure, everybody would
mm.
love it if Wayhot is sitting on the couch holding hands for 2 hours, but no, it's the strife and the trauma and the tribulation that makes those moments sweeter. So I feel like there's a lot of trust around the board, but also just that we all love each other and feel so grateful that this is such a phenomenon.